Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Idea Is podcast. Today I have a special guest, Marty Peters. Marty is a broker owner of Remax Commercial Advantage. You saw I just had to look, out of Vancouver. And today we are going to be talking about everything commercial real estate. Marty and I met at the hockey rink.
Yep.
So both Abbotsford guys for a long time. And had the good fortune of our kids being put on the same hockey team this year.
It's interesting because when we chatted about our crossovers, we hadn't crossed over.
Yeah.
In all these years of playing baseball, playing hockey, all the things.
Yeah. I've seen you at the rink a lot of times. I see your signs everywhere. So I knew who you were, but...
I saw you on the freeway.
Yeah.
I knew what you looked like.
The one day I just come up to you at ARC, I'm like, I'm just going to shoot my shot and go talk to this guy. I bet he's interesting. So today, Marty was gracious enough to join us, and we're going to talk about a few different topics when it comes to commercial real estate, investing, entrepreneurs or small business owners that are looking to find their first lease space. That's something that Marty can definitely help out with. And we'll just see where the conversation goes. So to jump right in, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you can give us an idea of, for most of the people that watch and listen are more residential, clients of residential realtors, hopefully of Nash Real Estate.
Yeah.
But that's probably where more of their comfort lies. Can you give us a bit like a 30,000 foot level introduction to what commercial real estate is?
Sure. Yeah. So obviously commercial real estate is a very different animal than residential. It depends on what if you're just purely investor, or are you an owner occupier? Like there's obviously many different facets within the commercial sector.
Yeah.
But for me, the reason why I got into commercial, it's just there's not much emotion in this. It's just it's numbers and it's facts.
Right.
So that's honestly why I've sold one house in my career.
Is that right?
Never again. It was to my parents. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
And to be clear, you are allowed to sell residential or commercial, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Based on your license.
Yeah. And a lot of people out in the valley do. The commercial side is kind of its own unique animal in that way. But like the brokerages downtown, the Colliers, the Cushman, JLLs, they have usually very set asset classes you work in. So you have your office guys, you have your industrial guys.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Retail. But whereas out here in the valley, it's anything goes, right? So I'm a generalist. That's what I would call myself. And so I do everything from, my portfolio is everything from $55 million development down to a 500 square foot lease, and everything in between.
Okay.
And I like that. Every call is different.
Yeah.
Every day is different. But so to circle back to your question there of like, what is it that people that just look at residential, what's the difference?
Yeah.
The biggest difference would be the Commercial Tenancy Act, very favorable for a commercial landlord. Residential is more geared to the tenant.
100%.
So it's that's probably the biggest difference.
Okay.
It also just takes more capital to play in this game, right?
Yeah.
So it's you're not competing against a whole whack of people. It's usually a small, more well capitalized group that's playing on the commercial side.
Right.
And, it makes it easier
from
that side.
Well, and that's one of the things that I was looking forward to chatting about is there's the smaller group that's well capitalized that probably own a larger percentage of commercial.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'm excited to talk about today is for our clients that are homeowners right now, and then they also have their small or medium business that's growing to the point where they need to find space. That's something where I feel like you can really shed some light on even just starting the process. I think I can tell from experience, even as Heidi and I run this business, when we consider the idea of moving into a commercial space for our business, it seems a little bit overwhelming or a little bit daunting. Like, where do you start? I am a realtor, and I for sure would just call you and ask you.
But it's not what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's
if you need to buy a house or you want to look at an investment property on the residential side, I'm very comfortable there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to commercial, when you get into cap rates and dollars per square foot, I understand the premise, but I'm definitely not a professional in those things.
Yeah. So I deal with a lot of groups that are trying to figure out, is it the right move to go from their home-based business to an office?
Right.
Does that make sense? And what are the biggest hurdles? I think that the biggest thing for me when setting expectation is like there's leasing 101. So you have your base rent and additional rent. A lot of people are like, what's additional rent? What's triple net? What is this?
Yeah.
So your base rent, like this is real quick 101.
Yeah, no, please. This is great.
So your base rent is where you can negotiate with the landlord. So
and that's going to be charged monthly, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's always advertised as a per foot, and that per foot is a per annum. So you have to divide that number by 12. So, yeah. So a lot of people will see $18 a foot, multiply it like, oh, it's like 50,000 a month. Like, no, that's your annual. Break it down. So that's one number. So that's where you can negotiate. Your additional rent though is based on fact. Can't negotiate that number. So that's your proportionate share of the property taxes, insurance, common area, snow removal, garbage, all that kind of stuff.
So if we were to tie it to similar residential terms, it'd be like your strata, if you will.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not the same, but yeah.
No.
Even if that is a great example. So a strata lot, if someone has a strata lot and it's an office, that strata payment that the landlord pays is actually rolled in and the tenant pays for it.
Right.
So, so that's where the flip side of being an investor on the commercial side is pretty great because you don't have to worry about taxes. When you have a net lease, your tenant is actually paying all your costs.
Yeah. So, what I'm hearing right now is that if you invest in commercial real estate, your costs are pretty much covered by the tenants.
Yeah. If it's structured correctly. Because there's gross lease, which is an all-in number. So then it wouldn't change. But a true net lease, yes, your tenant is paying for your setup.
If someone was, let's go into it. If someone they've started their business, let's say they're an electrician. Okay, they've started their business, they've got their van, they need some warehouse space, even something simple like a one bay to get started. How should they start that process?
Yeah, so you have to figure out where the inventory is. That's probably the biggest thing. A lot of people are like, I go to realtor.ca because that's all they know on the residential side. I would say in my work, like when I list properties, all my stuff is on realtor.ca, but not every commercial firm believes in the MLS system. So getting in touch with somebody that does commercial, that knows commercial, knows the market, that's your best bet. So for me, Abbotsford, I go pretty in and out. I tend to have a beat on the street of what's happening. Most of the commercial guys that do full-time commercial, they do, as opposed to phoning residential Joe. That's their best friend. That does, someone like yourself. Like they phoned you and asked you for
someone phones me, I'm referring.
Yeah, correct.
And that's the reason I'm referring is because I actually don't even really know the directory of where you would go and look for. Like this is how primitive my knowledge is of it. I wouldn't even know the directory to go find available lease spaces. If I was to look at the dollars per square foot, like I would have not realized it needs to be divided by 12. So that's where in anything I believe in, like hire a professional. And that's why I refer business, even if we have people that are looking for properties anywhere outside the Lower Mainland, I refer them out because as much as, yes, we're in this to generate revenue, it's not, if I can't provide the thorough service or the actual expertise, what's the value to the client? And that's the same thing. I would refer, if someone called me and said, I need lease space, I would refer them to you right now.
I'll take it.
Or no, yes, I definitely would. I need to negotiate some power here. I'm just giving it all away. But no, I think that the first step would be to give you a call, and then you would help just start by determining their needs, probably.
Yeah. So we chat through I always ask, what's your 5-10 look like?
Right.
And it's going through questions of should I lease, should I buy? Like if some companies are in a position where they have strong cash flow, and does purchasing make sense? For me, I'm always asking, okay, so if it makes sense for your company today to buy something, or you think it does, let's look at what the square footage are, what's available. But if you see yourself outgrowing something within 10 years, I typically would say leasing is better. Just because we can get more creative with the lease rates, and you can utilize your capital somewhere else.
And then there's some flexibility to change facility if they need to, change property.
Correct. Okay. Otherwise, if you think this will fit for the next 10, 15 plus, then of course, purchase would then make sense.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing though is, like in your world too, managing communication expectations. So what does it look like? We go into this space, it's just a big shell. This like electricians going into a space. So what does that look like? How do they get that office? What does a permit process look like?
Right.
And I think that's a lot of things that people don't consider when they're, they just expect they can move in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
they think there's going to be offices set up already, right, and maybe racking there already.
Yeah. And sometimes there is. Yeah. Every listing's unique, but for the most part, it's hard to find something that's turnkey for a tenant.
For sure.
So then we got to manage, okay, so does it need permits? What is the permit wait time? So right now, City of Abbotsford, I think they're reviewing, we're March 7th here. I think they're reviewing January 29th.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, so we know that they're roughly 4 weeks behind,
sure,
4 to 5 weeks behind right now. And that's an ever changing.
And that application for permit would be once the lease has been negotiated?
Yeah, that's applied for once they know they have the space.
Okay.
Because then they're financially committed to someone for the drawings and all the things.
Right.
So, and then it's built out after that, and then it's occupied.
Right.
So so I think a lot of people forget that step.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I want to move in tomorrow. It's like, well, that's not really how it works in this world.
Sure.
So
what if someone was looking for, we're in downtown Abbotsford right now at Marty's office, and there's Pastry Portal here, and there's a lot of smaller like food service places. What if someone is looking for a space like that? You would help them find what's available and then negotiate the terms, and then you would help them manage like the leasehold improvement process, or how does that? What kind of service do you provide there?
Yeah, so I take it to a point. Sure. Again, it's managing expectations. So when Pastry Portal came into the building here, it was okay. We have a shell condition space at this point. They need to put in a commercial kitchen.
Right. We
know commercial kitchens take months.
Right.
It's just a reality. So
especially like exhausting and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Anytime there's anything like that, any food safe, it takes significant capital from the tenant. It takes the landlord buying into that process because they got to give significant amount of free rent to offset that.
Right. It's a lot different than if they're just putting in a retail clothing store.
Right.
That needs some paint, drywall, and a few racks.
Yeah. 100%. So it's a big buy-in on both sides.
Right.
But that process down there, I think it was about 7 months by the time we were said and done.
Okay.
And they got up and running, and that's just that's the reality of what things take, right? Okay. So by the time you have permits back then, they were, I think it was almost, I want to say 3 months before we got reviewed, and then Fraser Health has their opinion, and that has to get changed, and blah blah.
Is the city working to try and be more diligent or more efficient with the review process and approval process right now?
They tell you that.
Yeah. Are you seeing a change?
I actually am. I mean, right now it's 4 weeks, so that is pretty tight.
I know, like in the residential side, they're really trying to talk about and push this. They now have this new pre-approved lot plans.
Okay.
That because I don't know if you've heard, but they're now trying to have up to 4 lots on. There's a certain size. It's under 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
You can take a residential house. 4,000 square foot lot is tiny, by the way.
Yeah.
You can take the house down and put 4 of these micro houses in now. So this is coming from the province, and then they're just saying, they're saying to the cities, figure it out.
Yeah.
We're not worried about your infrastructure. We're not worried about your approval process. So I don't know where this will all go, but one of the things I do like about it is it's putting pressure on the cities to reduce the red tape. Let's get permitting done. Like the biggest holdback to so much of this construction is, and you see this on the large development side, is the bureaucracy, the red tape of getting permits and getting everything approved. Yeah. It's not usually the contractor. It's not the drafts. It's not the drawings. It's just the stamp or the check mark. Go ahead.
Yep. So, even for I'm doing one right now. It's very basic open concept down the mill tower.
Oh yeah.
All we need to do is add HVAC, electrical, and some lighting.
Right.
Like everything else is basically done. But even that process is going to still. I mean, it's a $7,000 stamp drawings that have to get submitted, then time plus other things. And I mean, the tenant doesn't quite understand that yet. Like, I just want to move in tomorrow.
Yeah. They're ready. They're already envisioning sitting in their office.
Yeah. But,
especially, maybe I'll show you guys after a quick video of this office. But it's, I can see why you'd want to be in here right away. Yeah, it's so nice.
Well, when we designed it, I was like, what? Yeah, I'm going to be here more than I'm going to be in my house probably. So
fair enough.
I want something nice.
Yeah,
No.
What are some of the things? Again, just thinking more like first lease spot or first time moving into a commercial space for somebody that runs their own business. What are some of the things that they should get in line when they're just before they're ready to give you a call? Like they're going to know, or they hopefully will know what their budget is.
Yeah.
But what are some of the other things that they should have prepared?
So budget, square footage. I mean, it depends on what asset class we're talking about. So if we take industrial, if we just keep going with that for now.
Sure.
Do they need grade load door? Do they need a dock load availability? What's the ceiling height? What's the power requirements? Like, there's a lot of things on the industrial side that are kind of the key pieces that I would have to know. Retail, I mean, depends on what your use is. Same with office.
And if they're not sure what they would actually need, like let's say they have a bunch of money and they know they're moving out of their garage, can they come to you at that point?
Totally. Yeah.
And you can help them do that sort of homework side of things.
Yeah, because that's what I do day in, day out. So it's so that's when I start asking questions about their business. What's the next 5 years look like? What is 10 years? Let's talk about growth. That's kind of, those are the key pieces that I need to know to better understand. If money was out of the equation, what is your ideal setup today? And what is your ideal setup in 5 years? Those sorts of things.
And then I don't know if you can answer this or not, but if someone they're ready, they've outgrown their space, they want to move into a new lease. I know I'm beating this up, but I just feel like that's where there's a big gap between people who would like to do it, but are intimidated to start.
You're still talking residential to
or they're operating out of their house or their shop or their garage, and they're moving into we'll stay with the electrician or are there finance and mortgage options and people that they can work with? I know a lot of them in the residential side, but you don't have to mention them by name, but do you have referrals, or is that something that someone that's getting started but knows they'll need financing? They can do that for lease or purchase side of things?
Correct, yeah. Okay. I mean, the leasehold improvements, to get financing for that is tricky. There's no security for a bank, right? So that is a tricky one. You do have to have some capital on that. But that's where we can get creative with offsetting free rent, and can the landlord contribute towards it? There's all sorts of different ways to structure a deal. But when it comes to the purchase side, there are specialized commercial brokers that I would refer a lot to. And I mean, general rule of thumb for purchase is that interest rates are roughly about 1% higher than residential on average. And then loan to value is very different. So loan to value, again, depends if you're an owner occupier. Are we talking just a straight investment? There's going to be different appetites from lenders on that. But it can be as high as 50%. It could be as low as 30%.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So just to summarize, the first time moving into a commercial space, have an idea of your budget, make sure that you're going to be able to afford it, of course, is the first and foremost. But once you've decided that, then reach out to Marty or a commercial agent, if you will, and a representative, and start the process, so that the first call or the first meeting might not even be that long. It might be you helping them get their affairs in order and showing them where to start, and then they come back to you with a lot more information.
Because 100%, because we're going to talk about zoning. Depending on what your use is, we got to talk about what zoning will permit you to be where. And then we can go from there as to what availability looks like within that zoning, and then what is our needs.
So what are some different, this is something that caught me by surprise when starting to look more into commercial. What are some of the different applications that are considered commercial, as far as land development, leasing, purchasing, industrial? Can you just give us I'm kind of leading you into the abyss right now.
Just walk on the edge.
Just some of the different aspects of business that you help clients take care of.
So from the residential side, I do get involved when there's a land assembly. So I did one on McClure Road, for example. We had worked out to be about 9 acres total, but we had a bunch of old farms, and sold it to Infinity Property Group, and they're doing a bunch of townhouse, multi-family development there. So
that's the one, McClure and Mackenzie, by the rail district.
No, not down here. It's off of the Highway 11. Pass. There's cemeteries and stuff. We did a piece there. So I would say, I will get involved in residential when it comes to that side of it. But typically it's retail, industrial, office. And then we do some business brokerage. So if you're a business and you're looking to sell, I'm very selective which ones I take on. There has to be profitable, has to be. I flirt with more emotion when it comes into that, because that is people's livelihood, right?
Selling something they've built up.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a big concrete box.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very complicated to come up with an evaluation for a business. It takes significant time to go through. Is there cash being taken off the top? Like all sorts of things, right? There's a lot of different facets with business. So I don't do a ton of it.
Okay.
But I do get involved on that side of it. But typically it's your office, retail, industrial, like that's, or investment.
So we talked quite a bit about the lease process or starting the lease process.
Yeah.
But you also will help broker the sale of a building or the purchase of buildings, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'm working towards my CCIM, which is, what is it? Commercial, whatever. I should
you can just make
investment member.
No one will know what it means. You can just make it Canadian commercial
I should know this. Yeah,
infrastructure and
interesting member. CCIM. That's me. So, but what it is, like it's understanding cash flow.
Okay.
So a term called internal rate of return. So understanding when your capital is inside of investment for X amount of time, how much is your capital making you on that? So that has nothing to do with your mortgage or anything else. It's literally your capital.
Okay.
So understanding, the upsides of, like, the reason why I do leasing is so I have a good pulse on the market, right? So if I'm looking at an office building, for example, in Abbotsford, and I'm looking at the leases that are in place, and I'm saying, okay, that one's coming up in 2 years under value. That one's got, I'm looking at what the upside potential could be in a few years, and I'm analyzing it from a few different angles of obviously today's income, what does the future look like, and the buyer, what is their 2-year, 5-year, 10-year on an asset. So, so it's I love that side of it. I love numbers and trying to make stuff work.
And would you sell anything from like a shopping mall down to like a standalone old grocery store or something?
Yep. It's all the same idea, right? It's cash flow.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It has, tenants are obviously relevant to the strength of it. And who the tenants are, their covenants, their cash flow determines how much a property's worth.
Right.
So the lower someone leases a property, which is also a good thing to understand, when you're leasing and you're coming in like, oh, this place has been vacant for 8 months, so I'm just going to lowball. Well, technically, if the landlord accepts a lowball, they're actually devaluing their property. Mm-hmm. Everything is bottom line focused, right? So what their net income is. So I'm often working with buyers to educate them on, okay, the net income's low, but this is where it should be,
right? And
this is why we're going to buy it at somewhere between, and it's applying a capitalization rate or a cap rate you might hear. That's a snapshot of today's income, and what we're going to buy that on. But where is it going? Where's that asset heading?
I think I often find myself trying to not justify, but help people see the value of what residential real estate agents or professionals, the value of the service. Because there's always this like kind of lingering background commentary that, I could just do it myself. And actually, funny story, Heidi and I sold a house privately before either of us were realtors.
Classic.
Did not know about any of the liability issues at that time. I would never have done it if I had known that. Luckily, looking back on it, we did it quite well. We still use like a contractor purchase and sale from BCREA. Like we surprisingly did it very well, even though neither of us knew what we were doing.
That's amazing.
But I often think about the value of what realtors provide on the residential side. And then now sitting with you and talking about it from a commercial side, like there's no way I would try and go do it myself. There's no way.
A lot of guys do anyways.
Is that right?
Yeah, let's be serious. We're realtors, man. We're half a step up from a car salesman. Like there's a bunch of grease balls. But it is surreal. Like in my world, it's surreal when you get phone calls. I'm not going to say names, but there's some prominent people around in the community, and when they're phoning, asking my advice about something. I mean, I'm still mentally the kid in high school. It's just, just looking at the women. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, but they call that, right? They call that imposter syndrome, where you deserve the credibility that you've earned, but in your own mind, you still are like, people are going to find me out one of these days. But really, all they're going to find out is how good you actually are.
Well, I don't know if it's that or it just feels surreal sometimes. I like my day to day. I just like to have fun and laugh, and I'm 5'6". I make fun of my height all the time.
I can sense that. I heard you make some jokes.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it must be government funded. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Anyways, yeah, no. Like that's my day-to-day side, and I like to live on that side of things more so than the serious side. And, I think that's what's changed, or not changed, brought success to our team. So Charles and I were business partners, but we both live on that side of life.
Right.
Don't take life too seriously.
Sure.
It's just whatever.
Yeah.
But everybody has to have a role in their life and what they do. And for me, it's commercial real estate. So it's bringing character to it. There's a lot of old dogs in our world. And so I just, I'm not afraid to push the boundaries a little bit. And
how did you get into commercial real estate? Like the typical path, which is the path I'm on so far, is get licensed, go try and sell some houses. Yeah. So how did you get into commercial?
Yeah, so I actually got into commercial construction. So I did project management, used to build medical and dental offices, worked with the Overweighty Food Group, did a lot of things on the commercial construction side. So I understood the commercial application when it came to TIs. And so I think I was able to bring some value to that side of the business right away. But understanding the commercial real estate market, not anything I'd really thought about till I was 30, and I was like, okay, I'm 30. What am I going to do now? What does the next part of my life look like? So I love dealing with people. I love laughing. And it was like, okay, so what can I do with all this commercial experience that I had built up over that previous 8 years? Yeah. And I was like, okay, what can I apply that to going forward? What does my next 5, 10, 15, 20 look like? And so at 30, I made the jump over with 3 kids to to a career where I went 100% commission, and my life was going this way. I was like, whoa, we're gonna go that way, and so I literally 180'd my life, and I don't regret any of it. It's been some tough roads for sure. I probably wouldn't recommend for people to do what I did or the route that I went. But now that I'm on this side of it, I'm pretty thankful I did it.
Yeah, it's a scary jump when you go from a secure paycheck, and especially when you get into salary and bonus and that whole structure, and then you're just like, but the trade-off is so. I mean, I'm only 2 years in, as you know, but the trade-off has been absolutely worth it. Yep. And I think 30 is actually I know you had definitely some challenges and some
unforeseens,
some private or personal plus professional challenges. Yeah. But man, I did it at 39. I wish I did it at 30 or 25 even. Yeah. But
I also think there's some life experience, right? For the people that I deal with, I think if I was 25 coming in there, they'd be like, you haven't earned it yet, bud. Right. So there's that side of it too, where you
definitely have to go cut your teeth somewhere. Even like I was in business to business sales, and even when we had younger professionals, anyone who seemed young really struggled to be successful at first. And then as they would mature, all of a sudden you'd see their results start to fly. And it wasn't even that they started to work harder. They started to recognize how to come across to people a little bit more relatable, and not like like all the sales movies where they drive Ferraris and sit around the boiler room, and they're like, like not no one, but almost no one wants to deal with that person in real life. And so I get what you're saying. If you're too life young, people can it's almost like desperation. They can read it on you. They can smell it on you.
Yeah, you're the rookie on the hockey team, right? You're just gripping the stick a bit too tight. You're missing just settle down. Get into your groove, and it just takes time. And especially on this side, the same with you. Like you start to see some similarities in different transactions that you can bring experience to. Of okay, this is I've seen this before. This is what happened here. Yeah, and that just takes time.
And not being too proud to ask for help when you need it. That's a huge one too, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I make myself relatable with everybody. Yeah. Right? Like that's always my thing is if I'm coming in, I got to quickly analyze, okay, what character am I dealing with? Right. How am I going to break down? Yeah. I see it all. So it's like, okay, how am I going to break down whatever the character is or be relatable so that we can get to that next level? And it's just, so I used to wear the suits every day. And, oh man! Yeah, now I'm just like, I'm just gonna show up and whatever.
It's funny. I was saying to a mutual friend, I was saying about how I used to be impressed by guys in sharp suits. Yeah. Now I'm impressed by guys who are 2 o'clock on a Thursday or noon on a Tuesday, not in a suit.
Right.
And I know that sounds weird. I still like a good suit. I think they look great.
There's applications.
There's still definitely some extremely wealthy people that still choose to wear suits. But for me, I like when you see that person that you know is financially or career success, they're enjoying that side of things.
Yeah.
But they have that time freedom or that time flexibility.
Yeah.
They still probably put in 50, 60 hours a week, but they do it in a different way or a different time.
Yep.
I find that impressive now.
Yep.
So that changed because I was suits for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And I used to think like, if you don't wear a suit, like, well, who are you? You're not a big deal. And then it's like, I had a whole mind shift change. Like, you can just go buy a suit. That doesn't mean that you're actually doing anything.
Yeah. And I mean, the closer to Vancouver I get for different listing appointments or whatever it may be, I got to wear suits.
For sure.
I always dress to my clients. But, I mean, a lot of my people, they don't want me to.
Right.
They don't want to feel like, oh, this guy thinks he's above me.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
so I'm
not.
Yeah. So I actually ask clients on the first meeting, if it's someone that I don't know very well, I'll say, this is going to sound a little strange, but do you care how I dress when I come see you? If you prefer to see someone in like business professional, I will do that.
Yep.
And so far, everyone's been like, we don't care.
No. So just do your job.
I still don't show up in sweatpants. That's not going to happen. But yeah, most people don't care as long as you take care of the business.
Yep. So. And generally within the first few minutes, even if because I know I've had people look when I've rolled into a meeting or something like, oh, great, this guy looks like he's like fresh off of physio. But generally within the first few minutes, once you start talking and you're adding your value that way, what you're wearing, goes out the window.
For sure.
So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about something a little different direction than what we've been in so far. But as far as opening up commercial real estate to investors, if someone has, let's say they've got a successful business and they've already got their leaseholds for their business that's taken care of, but now they're wanting to diversify their investment portfolio. Do you work with people that invest in commercial real estate? I already know the answer. I know you do.
Yeah.
That's kind of a soft lead in, but like, what if someone either has saved up a considerable amount of money, or maybe like even came into some inheritance, or their parents are looking to invest, like, is that an avenue that they could reach out to you and start to learn more about that?
100%. Yeah. It's, that's what I do a lot of. It's probably my favorite part of the business is that I don't love the leasing all the time. I don't love just sales. Like, I like the analyzing of numbers. So that's where that whole cash flow, like if it's strictly investment that you're doing, it's what is the asset, what is our target yield, and how are we going to get there?
Right.
And there's different sectors. So if you want to buy an industrial, I'm going to have a different pro forma than I'm going to have for an office building than I'm going to have for retail. There's obviously all sorts of different components with who the tenants are, the strength of their leases, the strength of the numbers coming in, that sort of thing. So but no, that's the avenue that I get really excited about.
Okay.
It's, just because I feel there's not enough people that do it.
Yeah.
So it is a very educated group.
Yeah.
So that's where I say I'm not really in sales. All I do is facilitate.
Yeah.
So I'm just, again, facilitating expectations on both sides of a deal. But if someone has a cash cow, so to speak, of what they're doing, and they maximize that is a vehicle then to get into the next step, which would be starting a commercial portfolio. Seen it many, many times, and you just slowly start growing. And like I said, I love it. It's that side of it. Happy to have a conversation with anybody that would be there.
If someone starts with their first property and then their goal is to build a portfolio of commercial properties, how involved are they once, like, let's say they bought their first property, you facilitated the purchase. I'm assuming they bring in a management company of some kind in most cases. I know not everyone does.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Like, do they have to be super involved, or can they, if they have the capital, they can put the capital up, acquire the asset under a business, and kind of just step back?
I've got so many that, I got, for example, a dentist out of Coquitlam. He owns some properties around here. I think he's out here maybe once a year, twice a year.
Okay.
But he hires a property management. That fee is also in the lease, so the tenant is paying that. That's part of the triple net.
There you go.
So in my opinion, if you want to be hands off, the property management route is highly recommended.
Right.
They deal with all the day-to-day calls, so really it's just Yeah.
You just basically sit back and collect the rent and
correct.
make sure it's more than the cost going out.
Yep. And the property management, if they're good at it, we'll be able to talk about the capital cost to expect going forward, what the maintenance looks like,
right?
All that sort of thing. So you typically know what you're getting into.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely would recommend a property management.
That was a bit of a selfish question because we were talking offline about how there's different routes, and a lot of people like to start to acquire second and third residential properties. But Heidi and I have been trying to learn more about acquiring commercial, and full disclosure, we're a ways away from that, and trying to build a strategy to acquire enough capital to make that happen. But that is definitely a route I'd like to go. Rather than, I like the thought of owning residential properties as well and having like a diversified portfolio. But definitely commercial is one that I can see. I'm just learning more about it, but I could see it being a nice way of generating recurring revenue with not a lot of hands-on if you don't want to be hands-on.
Yep, it just takes capital. That's the biggest thing. Right? You can't, and that's why a lot of people don't do it.
Sure.
Really.
So I'm going to ask you a bit of an unfair question, just a heads up.
Yep.
But do you need $25 million to get in and get started? Could you come in with $1 million? Like what would be like the barrier to entry to that game?
No, you don't need $1 million. But again, it's identifying a property that, can we find something for 500,000?
Sure.
Maybe. Then you got a 250,000 that you probably have to be prepared to put down, depending on what it is.
Right.
If it's a real secure one, maybe you get it for less down.
Right.
But that's kind of like I would say 50% is what you should plan for.
Okay.
And so whatever that number is that you have in capital, just double it. That's probably where somewhere in there is where your acquisition price will be. So
if I had a lump of money, let's just say I had 500 grand.
Yeah.
I could call you and we could look around and see if there was if there was opportunities to get involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, here's some options. I mean, it probably is going to be some off-market options.
Sure.
Of, okay, we can attack these positions or these people because we think we might be able to get a deal here or here. But it's, you're not going to have a ton of options at 500,000.
No. Yeah.
But I would say the 1 to 2 million is a good place.
That's a good place to start to set your goal. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in those cases, are you usually buying commercial strata, or I don't know if you can call them strata lots, but they're still called strata lots, right?
Yeah.
Are you buying commercial strata lots at that point, or are you?
It all depends on your appetite. I mean, you probably have more options if you consider strata lots.
Yeah.
But then you're typically looking at office.
Right.
There's not too many retail around.
I'm thinking those tilt ups on Great Northern or that whole.
So you want to talk industrial? Yeah. So then you're around a 1 point. Yeah, depending on the size.
Yeah.
Anywhere around 450 to 525 a foot, depending on what size it is.
Yeah.
That would be today.
Yeah.
And so the hardest part with industrial is the lease rates. While they've come up, they're not the same as what an office lease rate would be, or retail for that matter. So your return on investment is going to be a bit lower with an industrial if you're looking at for straight investment.
Okay.
But again, that's stuff that we can chat
that
about.
You would work with. So if someone was, again, just staying fairly general, if someone was just jumping in, there's better returns on office space
from dollars per square foot.
Yeah.
But there's also a higher potential turnover.
Sure.
Like there's a bunch of different. There's no blanket statement.
Yeah.
What's the right play?
Yeah.
But again,
I'm trying to put you in a box.
I know you are. You're being such.
But that box isn't there.
Such a jerk. Right
now. You're doing a good job of nicely avoiding it. I appreciate it.
The political response. But no, I think again, it depends on what your 5, 10, 15 is, and for industrial, it is very safe in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of turnover typically in industrial. So,
right.
There's always turnover, but
for sure.
Yeah, but it's safer, but your return isn't higher. Although the inflation on industrial over the last 7 years, I guess, it has just been unreal.
Is that right?
So it didn't really matter what your lease rates were because your property was going up so fast.
So you were getting equity. You were building equity.
Easy.
In it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can't see that happening. But I mean, year after year, I was eating my shoe. I was like, I didn't think it would happen. Here we are.
Is there much commercial or industrial land in Abbotsford coming up right now for development? Like,
No,
there's not, right?
no.
So
It's like your developments right now. You've got the Automall,
yeah,
the huge exchange that's coming in there. You've got some pieces randomly throughout the town line area.
Like I don't see a whole lot of cranes with tilt ups going up.
No, there's a couple coming.
Yeah.
And a few over
Like that whole
closer
Mount,
to the airport.
like your Mount Lehman north of town line, that's going to be a pretty big industrial there, right?
Yeah. So there's pockets of it,
Yeah.
but it's when I think it was about 4 years ago or so when all the lands for the ALR got rejected around the airport. That was a big loss for us. There was also a section closer to Alder Grove that was also a big loss. Had that come out, that would have changed values dramatically.
Right.
Would
it have brought values down?
I think
because
it would
have more supply.
Correct. Okay. The supply and demand would have been very different.
Yeah, because right now there's not much supply, right?
There's a ton of lease supply on the bigger square footages, but there's not a ton of smaller at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, the market's ever changing.
Yeah.
And for a while there, you couldn't hold industrial long. If you listed it for sale, it was gone.
Crazy.
And now I feel like there's maybe a bit of a hold. I sold a few that I thought would sell faster.
Yeah.
But still sold, but I thought they'd sell faster.
Is there
the market's changed.
Sorry to cut you off, Marty. Yeah. Is there much correlation between what the residential markets are doing and what the commercial market is doing? Or is it more what the economy is doing and what commercial is doing?
Economy is probably the bigger,
more like job, employment rates and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say the economy plays a bigger factor. I mean, interest rates do. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I do think the economy. Obviously, COVID was an interesting time for us to see which sectors got hit. So the industrial kind of kept going.
Yeah.
Whereas retail and office, I mean, we're still seeing the results of it with office.
Are they still all back yet?
Well, yeah, we got different groups with different interests that came out of that, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden, the need for all the square footage went down. Right. They're tied to a lease, so now it's coming up due. So do they renew or do they downsize? Right. So all these effects are starting to come in even now, this many years later. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just seeing, like, I remember I started at Cintas in 2009, so right after like the great collapse, essentially.
Yeah.
And there was for lease and for sale signs everywhere. And then I can't remember. You would know.
Interesting fact. I interviewed there probably around that time.
Did you really? Yeah. Were you interviewing to go to sales?
Sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
I had an in. That's the only reason I got the job.
Yeah. Thanks, Christian.
Christian was who got me my interview.
Christian Harold. Didn't get me mine.
Yeah, he got me my interview. Then he left not that long after. What? You're leaving? But I was putting sprinklers in there. I was digging ditches, so I was I couldn't believe I was wearing a suit for a job.
Yeah.
After digging ditches. But there was lease signs, especially out in Gloucester, Gloucester, however you actually say it. There was for sale and lease signs everywhere.
Yeah.
And then,
like I said, it was about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Approximately 6 years ago. Everything changed. It was weird because we couldn't give it away. We were $7-8 a foot back then, even lower. I mean, some of my first leases were in the $5 range.
Really?
Plus triple net. Now those same places are 16 to 18.
Wow.
Some as high as 19. So, yeah, it's that market's changed dramatically, but so is the price. Like back then, you could buy for $1 million an acre,
right,
or less.
Yeah.
For industrial, now it's anywhere between 4.5 plus, depending on where it is.
Right.
And, yeah. So.
Yeah, then all of a sudden there was no for sale signs.
Yeah, everything got gobbled up.
Yeah, everyone's looking, can't find space. They end up in buildings they're not super happy with, or they're end up not in a building, or they're moving. Do you deal with Chilliwack?
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah. Is it have a lot of? Is there much industrial there?
Yep. Yeah. They're well, I mean, they have their trackside development. There's
that's on South Sumas.
Yes, in that area.
And then there's like the Lickman exits. It looks like it's about to grow. They've torn a bunch of stuff down there.
Yeah, where the old pick apart and all that.
Yeah.
That's there's lots of development in that area. For a while there, that was the place to go when you couldn't find something here. Sure. There were some options out there. Yeah. Now it's kind of caught up. Like the absorptions happened. And there used to be a better deal between the two. It's actually the lease rates are pretty close.
Is that right?
Yeah. So things have caught up there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we deal with a fair bit. We're doing some new development out there right now for some retail, mixed use retail out there. And, we're trying to have a heavier presence out there.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, that's such a growing. You can even see it in kids' sports. Like, look how much when we were young, Chilliwack was not strong in sports.
No.
And now they're blowing our doors off.
Yeah.
Even at like the Pee Wee A1 level, they beat us the other day, kicked us out of playoffs, or kicked us out of provincial qualification, and they moved on. When I was young, like we wouldn't even have played them.
Yeah.
So you can see in their baseball too. Like to me, that gives you a really good cross section of what's happening in the community.
Yeah.
Is their sports getting better,
yeah.
or is it getting worse? And that gives you a little bit of an insight of what's happening with their population.
Totally. Look at all the commuters that come out of there.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so many people flooded out that way because of what they could get with their money.
If you go to Sardis, go to the Garrison area, there's so many young people there now walking around. Like it's a pretty vibrant community. And maybe I didn't know it was time, but I just remember thinking Chilliwack was corn and.
Yeah, right.
I'll leave it at that. I think there's some people that watch this on Chilliwack.
Yes, well, people when I deal with Vancouver, like, oh, you could stay overnight out here. Like, no, man, it's an hour. I'm gonna drive back tonight.
Yeah, people. The stigma of Abbotsford definitely still. Yeah. Even yesterday, so I played in that Realtor hockey tournament.
Yeah.
They're like, what's happening in the Fraser Valley right now? What's even going on out there? Like, it's not as small as you think.
No. Do you have gas pumps out there?
I told them, like, we have 150,000 people in Abbotsford now. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
150? I thought you had like 15,000. They think we're like smaller than Hope.
Totally. Yeah.
To be fair, other than driving through Highway 1, and unless you're in youth sports, what are you really coming out?
We're known for our smell at Mountain. That's when you know.
You should move here though. Buy houses here. You'll love it. The community's amazing. So just keep that in mind. We'll clip that out.
Yeah,
no, we'll leave that in.
There you go.
Is there anything about commercial? It was a pretty general discussion today, but is there anything that you think that we should cover or anything that's I missed kind of trying to lead the conversation towards?
No, I just think if you haven't considered commercial, it might not be as far-fetched as you think.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest thing.
That was my whole goal today, is helping people understand, as I've recently come to understand, that it's not as, a BHAG goal as I maybe thought it was. Like it is something that you can plan for, and if you're starting to earn money and save, that you can, if you want to grow your business into a lease space, it's not as unattainable as some people probably think it is, or as expensive as they might think it is.
Yeah.
And if you want to look at that as an investment vehicle, there's lots of different ways. Like we were talking off camera, but you even said like sometimes they'll be investing groups that will get put together.
Yeah, people of like-minded.
Yeah.
Let's form a holding company.
Yeah.
Everyone puts in X amount, and let's find some sort of asset to hold. And
so if there's a group of friends, say they're just to paint a picture, like they're in their kind of early 40s, and there's a group of friends. They're not in commercial real estate at all right now, but they have an idea of pooling some resources and getting up to that $2 million mark or something.
Yeah.
Would you be able to consult them on how to?
Yeah. I did that very thing. Okay. So I'm in a pool with some people, and we acquired an asset at $2 million.
Okay.
There's 4 of us in it, and it's been great.
Yeah.
And it was one of those ones where we found, okay, where's the upside in the cash flow, and what can we do?
Okay.
And it's been a great little asset for us.
Awesome.
So and we hope to take that and go to the next level and do it again.
I think about people who are starting to kick around the idea of a lake house and stuff, and I get like the attraction to all that, but what if you can buy an asset that's just going to ascend in value, pay you a monthly payout based on the lease once you get it leased out, and then use that money, buy more properties, or then maybe you go buy your lake house.
Sure.
But, I mean, a lake house is fun and jet skis are sweet.
Yep.
But man, I just think
there's memories, there's all sorts of things to consider there too. But if you have a vehicle that pays you, you said, a monthly amount or whatever you guys set up, that then you use to go and do whatever fun you want with your family. Like there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Right.
But I think, why not?
I just think it's a good conversation to have, to consider it before you consider the commercial avenue from an investing standpoint before you go and make your final decision.
Yep.
And then I'm a big advocate. Everything I always say, like, of course I want people to use Nash Real Estate, or of course I recommend certain professionals in different avenues like mortgage brokering or insurance. But I always say, like, whether you use us or not, just get the information to make a fully informed decision.
100%.
And then do what you think is right then. Don't just jump into it, or don't work off of a limited amount of information.
Keep every door open, and follow your gut. Like that's the biggest. Like again, there's no right or wrong how to do all this.
Right. If there was a playbook that worked every single time, we would all do it.
100%.
And then it wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Anything else, man?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome.
We did this whole spiel, and
we've been at it for probably longer than you think.
I know, and it's not once has the speedo.
Oh, I forgot about the speedo. Oh no!
Kept waiting.
Oh yeah, no. That's just gonna have to be a teaser for next time. Thanks for joining, man. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
If you have any commercial needs, call Marty Peters. He is with, let me check it again, Remax Commercial Advantage Vancouver. He's the broker owner. We're on Montrose right now, right?
Yeah, just above Pastry Portal, downtown Abbotsford. Love the downtown if you ever want to chat downtown.
So give him a call. And if you, like I always say with our business, with Nash Real Estate, the first step is just reaching out. If you have ideas or you want to learn more, then take that first step. But thanks for joining us today, and we will see you on another episode.
That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house.